Hello everybody. On this video we'll do some practice on communication functions. So take a look at this exercise. Match the following statements with the functions they express. A, so exercise A, there are 4 statements and each statement expresses a particular function. There are four communication functions: A, B, C, and D. So let's read statement number 1. The 9 o'clock train's rather slow. You'd better take a taxi instead. 2. Road accidents are partly due to drivers' carelessness. 3. The main aim of this campaign is to sensitize people to the importance of voluntary work. And 4. Halima wants to immigrate, whereas her husband would rather stay in his country. The functions are A, expressing contrast, B, explaining, C, expressing cause and effect, and D, expressing advice. So let's go through these statements one more time. Statement number 1. The 9 o'clock train's rather slow. You'd better take a taxi instead. So you need to pay attention to this key phrase. You'd better take a taxi. So this expression or phrase expresses advice. Okay, so number 1, D. Excuse me. 1 here, D. Expressing advice. 2. Road accidents are partly due to drivers' carelessness. Pay attention to, let me see, this phrase, due to. So due to expresses cause and effect. So it's C. So number 2, C. 3. The main aim of this campaign is to sensitize people to the importance of voluntary work. The main aim of is to sensitize. So here, this is explaining. We're given an explanation here. Okay, the main aim of this campaign is to sensitize people to the importance of voluntary work. So it's B. Number 3, B. Number 4, Halima wants to immigrate, whereas her husband would rather stay in his country. So whereas, this phrase expresses contrast. So it's A, expressing contrast. So A. Let's go on. B. Same thing. 4 statements, 4 functions. Statement number 1. Passengers are not allowed to stand up during the plane takeoff. 2. You needn't drive so fast. We've got plenty of time. 3. Scooter and bicycle riders have to respect traffic lights and street signs too. Number 4. You shouldn't interrupt your friends while they're working. A. It's unnecessary. B. It's undesirable. C. It's prohibited. And D. It's obligatory. Number 1 again. Passengers are not allowed to. Are not allowed to stand up during the plane takeoff. So here, number 1, are not allowed to. So they cannot stand up during the plane takeoff. So it is not allowed. Okay. which means it is prohibited. It's prohibited, so it's C. So number 1, C. Number 2, you needn't drive so fast. We've got plenty of time. So you don't have to drive so fast. Okay, we've got plenty of time. So it's unnecessary. Needn't. So absence of necessity. So it is not necessary. It's unnecessary. So number 2, A. 3, scooter and bicycle riders have to respect, must respect, have to respect traffic lights and street signs too. So here it's obligatory. So the use of have to expresses obligation. So it's D. Number 4, you shouldn't interrupt your friends while they're working. It's B. It's undesirable. You shouldn't. So it's B. C. You look pale. Would you like me to call a doctor? This is number 1. Number 2, you said Jalal wouldn't be able to bear the cold weather in Sweden, and that's exactly my view. Number 3, could I possibly have a look at your photo album, please? Number 4, I wonder if you could give me a lift home tonight, please. The functions we have: A, expressing agreement; B, asking for permission; C, making a request; and D, making an offer. You look pale. Would you like me to call a doctor? Would you like me? So here I'm offering help. So it's making an offer here. Would you like me to do something for you? So number one, D. Number 2, you said Jalal wouldn't be able to bear the cold weather in Sweden, and that's exactly my view. And that's exactly my view. So we have the same opinion. Okay, we share the same opinion here. So it's A, expressing agreement. So number 2, A. 3, could I possibly have a look at your photo album? Could I possibly have a look? Could I do something, please? So here, request. So it's C, making a request. So you're asking for service here. So it's C. Number 4, I wonder if you could give me a lift home tonight. Excuse me. Could I possibly have a look at your photo album, please? This is asking for permission. It's B, sorry. Number 3, B. So here you're asking for, this person is asking for permission to have a look at the photo album. Could I possibly have a look at your photo album, please? I wonder if you could give me a lift home tonight, please. So here it's a request. Number 4, C. You're asking for a service, a request. D. Number 1, as I see it, homesickness is something people find it hard to cope with. Number 2, shall I help you unload the furniture from your car? Number 3, I'm so sorry for being such a nuisance. I know I've caused you so many problems. And number 4, oh, that would be marvelous. Thanks a lot. A, making an offer. B, responding to an offer. C, expressing opinion. And D, apologizing. As I see it. This phrase, we use this expression to express opinion. So it's C. Number 1, C. So to answer such exercise, you need to look for key phrases, key expressions, or key words. Number 2, shall I help you? Shall I help you unload the furniture from your car? So here this is offering, making an offer. So it's A. Number 2 is A. Number 3, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for being such a nuisance. I know I've caused you so many problems. So here, feeling sorry, apologizing. So it's D. Oh, that would be marvelous. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So here, responding to an offer. F. Number 1, let's go camping in Agadir this summer. For a change, shall we? Number 2, I wish I hadn't come here. If only I'd listened to my mother's advice. Number 3, I take your point. Life on this planet will be impossible unless we do something about the environment. Number 4, I'm sorry to say this, but we find it quite distressing that you throw garbage in the street. A, functions, so the functions. A, making a complaint. B, expressing agreement. C, making a suggestion. And D, expressing regret. Let's go. This phrase. Let's go camping in Agadir this summer for a change, shall we? So these two phrases express suggestion. So we use them to make a suggestion. So it's C, number 1, C. I wish I hadn't come. So you still remember, I already shared a video lesson about the use of this verb wish, expressing regret about past actions. I wish I hadn't come here. If only. I wish and if only I'd listened to my mother's advice. So here it's expressing what? Regret. So it's D. Number 3, I take your point. I take your point. Life on this planet will be impossible unless we do something about the environment. So here, expressing agreement. You share the same opinion. I take your point. So it's B. I'm sorry to say this. I'm sorry to say this, but we find it quite distressing that you throw garbage in the street. So here, I'm sorry to say this, but making a complaint. So it's A. Okay. So that's it for this kind of practice. Thank you so much for your attention and see you another time. Take care. Goodbye.